Okay, I believe we are started now. All right, so this is the culmination of my intense research for Umamusume. I have read the entire global Umamusume reference doc. I've read multiple half-translated and fully translated, and the game Torah articles. I read like 200 pages of documentation. I read all this stuff. There is so much information on this stupid horse game. The short of this game is that it is basically a racing training management sim roguelite. So it's like roguelite duck life, which is actually pretty interesting and it is quite fun. And I would recommend this game even to people who don't like gachas, to be honest. So in this presentation, I wish to bring as much of that information as I possibly can, concisely and in an understanding format. And together here with me, I have my bestie and my buddy who is here to learn. So we have here to ask questions to make sure that somebody who is new will be able to keep up with the conversation. So hopefully having here will help out a lot. Then we have Saga, who's just here to back me up in case I forget something. Say hi.
Hi. Hi.
Albert Yardy. Okay, so
Albert Yardy.
quickly, I'm going to go over the shortest version, and then eventually I'm going to go into detail over the rather complicated aspects of the game as we go along. I mean, there's a lot to cover here, and I'm hoping to get through this relatively concisely. So, in order to win the most effective way, the best way to increase your chances of success is to start with a lot of blue sparks. Getting a lot of blue sparks, regardless of your support cards, will help you a lot. It helps you with winning a lot. So just by simply borrowing a character with a lot of blue sparks, you see here this guest, Ogre Cap, 3 stamina, 3 stamina, 3 stamina. This is a 9-star stamina, 9 stamina Ogre Cap. This Ogre Cap will make this career significantly easier just because I selected her. It like jumpstarts the entire run because you start with so many more stats. Like you start with 63 more stats from this 9-star. And this makes it so that it's super easy to win your debut race. It's super easy to win the second race that you have to do. And you can focus more on making money moves instead of trying to survive. And then for your own legacy, you can just pick whatever has the most stars. Now, when it comes to blue stars, the only ones you really care about are speed, stamina, and power. Guts and wit is completely useless on blue, basically. Like wit, niche scenarios, but for the most part, you only care about speed, stamina, and power when it comes to these blue stars.
Should they all be the same? Like in this?
This is like a pure stamina Ogre Cap. This is kind of like super awesome and good, but it's okay even if they're mixed. Like if you have 3 stamina and then 6 speed, that's still really, really good. The important thing is that you have not as many stars as possible, especially for stamina. I think stamina is the most helpful one, but as long as you have 9 stars of these 3 stats, speed, stamina, power, that is perfectly fine. Thank you for asking.
So it matters from the parents as well as the main one?
Yes. Okay. So, for example, let's say this Taiki Shuttle gets 2 stars, then this Taiki Shuttle will have herself with the 2 stars, Marzensky with a 2, and then Ogre Cap with a 3. So she would have 7 stars if she gets a 3-star, like speed or something, right? And that means she would be a good parent because she has a bunch of stars to pass on.
Okay.
All good?
Yeah. And what are the pink ones?
Okay, so the pink ones are actually related to aptitude, and for the most part, they're not super important. Now, when you start getting to the point like this, where you have super, super great blue sparks, then you can start worrying about pink sparks. But in short of it, basically, if you see a pink spark here, like this Pace Chaser, if there's at least 1 star, which there always will be, it will increase it by 1 rank. Then there's more to it, but I'll talk about that later. So if you have a B in like medium, for example, you have a B in medium, you want a pink spark with medium to increase it to an A, and they can't go above A at the beginning of the game. So that's kind of the only bit that you care about with pinks for the most part. But generally, you can kind of ignore the pinks. The greens are only present on Umas that are 3 stars or higher, so you have to star unlock to get it on like vodka, for example. All right. But the most important one, the blue sparks. Okay. So the next bit, how do you win the career the best? The short version is increase the friendships of your cards. So you get your support cards, you got your 6 cards. When you have a lot of blue sparks, as I said, it makes the early game really, really easy because you have so much more starting stats. This means that you can focus on even bad trainings like guts that you never really want to do normally if they have enough friends, because every person who's here, every training partner will get 7 friendship. And if they have a hint event, they'll get 5 more. The goal is you want to get 80 friendship, which is 4 out of 5, and the bar turns orange. once they reach that point, you can start getting rainbow trainings. And you kind of want to spread around the friendship so that they all kind of reach it as quickly as possible overall. Because let's say this Kitasan Black is at 80 and this special week is at like 10. Now I have to hope that I can slowly build up this special week, even though, you know, Kitasan Black is no longer here to be multi. Like if Kitasan Black is here, she doesn't do anything. So you kind of want to spread around the friendship and build up as much friendship as possible early on, regardless of the training. Because if you're like, oh, this guts training will get me 3 friendship and the speed training will get me 1, I'm going to do the speed because I want speed. What's going to happen is you're going to get 10 speed now instead of getting to hitting your 60 speed triple rainbows later, quicker. So overall, just farming friendship early is a lot more important than focusing on your stats. In order to help you get as much friendship as possible, whenever it's available and good, you kind of want to hit wit training. So if there's like 2 friends here and 2 friends on wit, I would rather do wit because instead of spending 20 energy, I could gain 0 in this case because I'm full, or gain 5 if I wasn't full, and it would give me more friendship over a longer course of time because I'm not spending as much energy. Because again, early on, the training isn't important until you have most of your friends at 80%, because most of your training is going to come from the rainbows. So in order to get to the rainbows quicker, you want to build your friendships. In order to build the friendships quicker, you want to save energy. So wit training is a very important thing to consider here.
No, I'm just fixating on the horse's thighs.
Oh, right. So, in relation to wit training, another thing about managing your energy carefully is you always want to get energy whenever possible, because if you don't get energy from your events, like for example, there's an event where it's like, hey, I kind of want to do some extra training. Do we take a break or do we do the extra training? And you always want to say, no, let's take a break whenever possible for that 5 energy, because that 5 energy adds up. And if you lose enough energy to where your fail rate is really high, then you're gonna have to rest. And every time you rest, you risk that 2.5% chance you get Night Owl and you have to spend 2 to 3 turns recovering from this absolutely devastating blow.
Oh,
and it
so awful.
Yeah, that
and
happened
it
to me so
always
many
happens
times.
around the summer. So you want to make sure you keep your energy high so that you don't have to risk the rest button. You may think resting is the safest option. No, it is not. It can kill you. It can kill you. And even if it's good, you don't even get any stats. If you just did wit training, you wouldn't get as much, but you would at least increase your wit, your skill points, and your speed, right? So resting, you don't want to think of it as a good option. This is I have to take it because I have a 20% fail rate and none of my trainings are good. You have to take it.
Yeah.
And ideally, when I say have to take it, I mean like if you were to get well rested, you don't waste that much energy because that extra 20 is worth a lot. So usually you're gonna have like really low energy, like here in the blue when you want to rest. So yeah, try to avoid resting if possible. You still have to, but try to avoid it if possible. And early in the race, again, because we're focused on friendships, we don't really care about mood because you're gonna get mood from your cards. Like Kitasan Black here, it just gives you mood. I Should Flash gives you mood. So early on, you don't care about the recreations. So to recap, basically, you get a lot of blue sparks. This gives you a lot of stats to start off with. This is your starting advantage. Then you farm friendships. Farming friendships up to orange is economy. I would call this an economic move, and you're spending all of your time on these economic moves because you already have enough power. It's like playing balloons. You already have enough defense. You have Sada. That's your entire first 40 rounds resolved, basically. Now you can focus on your banana farms, right? That's what this is.
Go crazy at the banana farms.
Okay.
Now, here's an important tip. If you play this song, your horse is 3% more likely to win the race. Very important.
Very important.
Yeah, you know, the song that makes you win.
Hold on. No, this is true.
This is true. Haven't you heard? All right, so moving on. As you can see here, 66. Yeah, sure, I'm glad I didn't take that stamina trading. That would give me 10 stamina. Instead, I focused on building up my friendship. Now, you know, I can recover all of those stats later. And also, every time you hit a training, I think it's 4 hits or 5 hits, and then it'll upgrade to the next level. And then that increases the stats by 1 or 2 per level. So friendship farming gives you more total stats over the run. You build up the friendship, then you hit multi-rainbows. Because let's say, for example, I wasn't focused on that and Sweep Tosho wasn't orange, that would drop this all the way down to like 40, right? That would be pretty devastating.
Are those friendship trainings like straight multipliers?
Yes.
Or
I'll get to it more in the support card section, but basically the friendship training, it stacks with itself. They're all multiplicative with each other. very, very powerful. So I'll cover how exactly it works in the support card section, which is coming up next. All right, so the last thing is the end goal, right? When you do a career run, there's more or less 4 different paths that you can go for. You can try to make a good parent, which will help you win more in the future. You can make a strong Uma to win PvP, do your daily races. Especially early, the daily races are surprisingly hard if you don't realize it. Sometimes you just want to win. And other times you may fall for the trick of score farming, where people farm Twitter likes by going 3 speed 3 win, when it isn't always good. Sometimes it's good, but
that's me.
The issue with score farming on this 3 speed 3 wit is, in order to get a strong Uma out of it, you have to have a strong enough basis. Like, you have to be able to play well enough, have good enough support cards to where your overall stats are going to be high enough. Because let's say you're building 3 speed 3 wit, you get max speed, max wit, and you have, 300 or 400 and like 300, right? What's gonna happen is, as a sprinter, even as a sprinter with a low stamina requirement, if you have max speed, max wit, and mediocre power, you're gonna lose to somebody who has max speed, 800 power, and 300 wit, because that power is so much more influential in a sprint. So this is only good if you get enough of the stats you need. If your stat total overall, your total amount of stats is not enough to handle the wit training, you're gonna end up with a worse Uma, and you're gonna lose things like PvPs, even if it looks more impressive to get that A+. Very important to watch out for this, because some people are being tricked into running 3 speed 3 wit when they don't know what they're doing. Don't confuse this with evil nature and debuff horses who do actually need to max their wit or get a lot of wit for that skill proc chance. I'll talk about that later. Making a good parent is what I spend the most time on, because, new accounts and all that. This is what I would recommend too, is trying to figure out how to make your best parent. In short, the things that you're looking for is 600 in speed, stamina, and power, or you get 1100 in one of these 3 stats. So if you have a 600 in the stat, that is a 1% chance that you get a 3-star blue spark, which, as I said before, it'll be very helpful to be used at the beginning of a run with your next Umas. If you get to 1100, that is another, that's another plus 1% here. So if you get 1100, 600, 600, you have a 4% chance of getting a 3-star in those stats. So generally, I would say it's easy to just go for triple 600s, because these are 3 stats that you always want.
I'm gonna be honest, those odds sound like they're awful.
They are quite bad. They are quite bad.
It's very bad. This is the grinding act.
That is the grinding of the game, is the sparks. And in terms of strong Umas, I will cover that like when we actually talk about each stat, because then it'll be easier to understand what actually makes them strong, instead of just, oh, well, my stats are high, that surely is good. And rating isn't always a good example of what makes us strong. Yeah.
But to get for those early sparks, should you just dump like do the 5 speed thing and just try and get a really fast Uma? Or you said just aim for 600?
To be honest, the easiest way to get your first good horse is, for example, you see here, this is a horse that I have. It's just I eventually got a 2-star Marzensky early on in my game, and you see these are literally starting. This is one of my first careers. I saw a stamina, I just used her there, and then I used the Daiwa Scarlet because I didn't know what I was doing. I got a 2-star power, so I looked through my stuff and I'm like, okay, this 5 stars in useful stats, this will help me win my run. So I'll combine that with a guest who will also help me win the run. And if this horse is good, I get a 2-star here, then that'll put me at 2, 2, 3, that's 7. So now this horse is 7-star. Now she's almost as strong as this horse. And now I can much easier continue to build up horses that satisfy this 3 to 4% and have a really good odds of becoming a good parent. All this covered. This is an overview of the purpose of careers and how to run it. So we'll go and we will move on to the next section where we talk about aptitudes. What are aptitudes for and what do they do?
Aptitudes.
So I'll quickly talk about aptitudes and then what the strategies actually do, because you may have seen the diagram where it shows you them running, but it doesn't exactly say what they do and what they mean. So you can see here, I made a little chart of all the characters and which races they have A or B rank in to start with. And you may notice mediums and miles take up the most amounts of characters. And sprinting is only available for 5 characters.
Oh, what?
Yeah, only 5 characters have an A or B in sprint to start with. And Urara is the only one with an A in dirt at the moment. So if you gotta run dirts, you're gonna need an Urara. So we'll talk about aptitudes. What do the aptitudes mean? So, S, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Basically, they affect your stats. So, okay, you see here, There is A in turf and B in dirt. This means that the A is completely unaffected by any modifiers. See here, 100% in all the stats, nothing special. The B is a minus 10% to the power and speed, but the way that this actually affects the horse is a little bit deeper than just this percent. It doesn't affect the stat, it affects the calculation the stat is a part of. So these minuses can hurt a little bit more, and this plus will help you a little bit more than it seems at first. So you see here, I pulled this from, I think, Game Torah. But yeah, so pay attention to the aptitudes.
Minus 90 is
Yes,
crazy.
so that is why Arima Kinnin is kind of brutal, or Haru Urara.
Huh. Okay.
Now early on, your strategy is kind of less impactful, especially because it only affects wit. And as I mentioned, wit isn't like that crazy for helping you win. It is important. It is an important stat, but its direct influence outside of skills isn't important. At the beginning of a run, it may be more effective for you to just play as a front runner, even if you have G in front running at the start of the run, because this way you don't have to worry about getting boxed and getting blocked or not having enough acceleration at the end because your horse is hanging back too much. For the most part, if you have decent blue sparks, you can just play front runner for your first few races, and it'll be much better than risking it with late surger or pace chaser. I often just stick on front runner for the first few races, even if it's G. It'll be more consistent, and you don't have to deal with those 9th place debut races as much. Another thing to consider is skill activation is affected by wit, but your skill activations are rolled before the race starts, and this wit penalty does not affect your skill activation as a result of that.
Wait, what does it even affect?
What do you mean?
What else does wit?
Okay, so wit is kind of a weird general stat. For the most part, in short, what it affects is your movement speed, like your target speed throughout the entire race. The speed that your horse is trying to run at throughout the race is defined by wit. Speed does not do anything in relation to that until the last third of the race. Another thing is wit also affects your skill activation chance and your chance of getting rushed. So related to front frauding, where you just play front runner even if you have a really terrible aptitude for it, that I call that front frauding. Another thing you can do is you can swap to late surger, because late surgers actually have...
Am I hearing that right?
Yes, front frauding. Late surgers have better stamina than all the other strategies. So you could do the same thing swapping to a late surger if you really, really need stamina to pass a stamina check. Like you barely have enough stamina to do Kikuka Show, and that's 3,200 meters, you can't survive that. Maybe that slight boost from being a late surger will help, right? Who knows? That's what you get for not building your stamina. Okay, I'll quickly cover what the actual strategies do so you have a bit of a better understanding. Here's the formula for HP. So at the start of a race, your stamina is converted into HP, and as you see here, they have different penalties. Late surgers have no penalty. Pace chasers have an 11% penalty, so they have the least actual HP based on their stamina. But you'll notice this distance here is a flat increase. So if a race is like, say, 1,600 long, that's relatively short, it's a mile, that is still going to be a way bigger number than your stamina. If you had 1,000 stamina, you'd only get, 800 as a late surger, and that's still like half the mile. So most of it's actually coming from the distance, but your stamina is still quite important, because your stamina is how long your horse is going to be able to run fast instead of just run slow. Front runners, they try to be at the front, and if they try to go faster, they may try to speed up to pass the horse in front of them. Generally, the horse that manages to stay in the front will define the going speed for most of the race. It's the pace speed, they become the pacemaker, and everyone else will kind of set their target speeds in a range based around that. If a horse is way too far stronger than the rest of them, they may break this norm, but generally it's the furthest forward horse will set the pace. And if they keep it, then the other horses will kind of keep in their strategies based around that position. Let me do this. All right, so let's say we have a really fast horse here, and this is kind of like the spread of the racers. If we have a front runner over here, and we got a pace chaser over here, right? They're kind of gonna hang out around this area. And then we got a late surger over here. They're gonna hang out over here. And then the end closers are just gonna hang out back here. Who really cares? This horse cannot go too far ahead, because if she's too far ahead, it'll kind of mess with the race. So the game tries to avoid this happening. So if she's too far ahead of the second place is all the way back here, she can't really go any further than this. They won't really let her break away too far. But if there is a horse that's really close, the two of them together might go super far ahead of everybody else. It's kind of a weird phenomenon.
I thought they tried to break away. Damn. Because
Yeah.
a lot of the skills are like they're worded like they try to break away.
Exactly, right? So it can be a little disorientating. So there's a rule around the front horse not going too far ahead. And also, everyone else is trying to stay in a relative position from this horse, you may notice. So if this horse is moving, I don't know, say let's say 21 speed, they're going to change their speed to, they're going to try and change their speed to like be around it, basically. So they're going to all kind of like match the pacemaker, whoever it is.
Is there a downside to that? Like does it eat more stamina when they try and catch up like
Yes.
that? Is that the rush
Okay,
effect at all?
I'll
or
get
no?
to that momentarily, don't worry.
completely unrelated.
So
okay.
the stamina that you consume as a horse is quite literally based on the effort the horse is putting in. If the horse is running faster, that consumes more stamina. And if the horse is accelerating, that also consumes stamina because they're going faster. The way that the stamina is drained is based on how much stamina they're using. I can show you the formula in a moment. Don't worry about this. I just went through a bunch of geckos. Here we go. So as you see here, current speed, base speed. And this base speed is based on various factors, like mainly the course length, but also like how fast the fastest horse is moving. The short version is basically horse running faster, health go down faster. That's what's important. All right, so for a front runner, late starts can be really, really, really devastating because now the front runner is not in the front and they have to go and get to the front somehow in order to maintain their thing. What does this mean? It means they have to constantly try and speed up, and if they get blocked and they don't get to take their spot, they're going to keep trying to get to the front, and that's going to cost more and more stamina, and they're going to like waste a lot of juice. So not being able to be at the front as a front runner is really, really bad. So you're kind of gambling with the late starts a little bit. And if you're wondering how the late starts work, they are completely unrelated to wit. It is pure luck. You're rolling a delay that goes up to 1/10 of a second at the start of a race.
Oh, wait. So are those skills that reduce late starts? Are those worth it?
Focus and concentration, it kind of depends on if you need it or not. So the way that late starts work is essentially you roll random delay up to 0.1 second. If you roll 0.066 or higher, this is a late start. What that means is you lose some starting acceleration. So there's like a starting acceleration penalty, and that can destroy like Mihono Bourbon's signature skill, for example. And what focus does is delay times 0.9, right? So this reduces it by 10%. Concentration is the gold one, and it just reduces it by 60%. Right, so it pretty much completely guarantees that you don't get stuck with a late start. But these skills are not guaranteed to activate. They're still subject to the skill activation chance. In general, the thing with front runners is they don't need as much power because they're going to be sitting at the front. They have the slowest final speed, and they don't have as much distance to cross. Everybody's already moving at top speed. They hit the top speed point first, right? So in a race, each of these different places. So let's break the race into a couple portions here. So when you see this right here, this is the early race, and this is the late race. This is the last 2/6 or last 1/3 really. And at this point, if they have enough HP, they'll do their last spurt. So let's say we don't have enough HP here, and they might start to go all out around here instead. So I only have enough HP to start from here. The horse does all the calcs in her head live. If she thinks she only has enough to do it from here, she will only start going full tilt over here. Otherwise, if she has enough HP, she'd ideally like to go full tilt all the way across. If she doesn't have enough, then she'll only start here, and this is really, really bad because you start going later. But front runners get to this point quicker, and by the time they get here, everybody else is kind of starting to speed up, so they've already kind of gone to their max speed already. So they just have to maintain that at that point.
So going back to power, you're describing it like
It's acceleration.
Okay, it is just acceleration. Okay.
It's mainly acceleration and horizontal movement speed, but I'll cover it in the stats section. So pace chaser. What does a pace chaser do? They have the worst stamina penalty. So if you have low stamina and you're kind of scared of that, it kind of sucks. That's tough, buddy. But for the most part, they're just kind of like front runners, but they have better final speed. For the most part, that's kind of how you can look at pace chasers. And late surgers, they have a big reliance on that maximum acceleration. So here they have the best acceleration at the end of the race. And they have really good speed at the end of the race. So they are very, very reliant on power because they're hoping to, what the late surgers are trying to do is they're trying to lock in super hard right here and then suddenly increase their speed a lot. So if there's like a constant speed that you're running at, so here's how fast they run in the early game, here's how fast they go in the mid game, and then here's how fast they go in the late game. This is how their target speed works. And basically the horse is going to start moving quicker and then hit that speed. It's like, okay, I'm allowed to go faster now. I'm gonna start accelerating and then I'm gonna go faster now. So what happens is late surgers arrive at this point way later. The front runners are already gonna be like over here or over here. And late surgers are now in a pickle because they have to suddenly go fast enough to pass this person while this person is also running forward. So this is why they really need power, is that way they can sharply hit their max speed, and their max speed is higher than someone else's who may be over here because they're running like a front runner strategy. But what can happen is,
when do they choose to lock in? Is it always at these predetermined points, or like
yes.
would more stamina help like the other? Okay.
It should always be at the last
Yep.
final corner.
So
around
here-
that area.
Gotcha.
you can see these are the 1/6 divisions of the race. The opening, the early race is the first sixth, the middle leg is the middle half, and then the final leg is the last spurt in the late race. It's the last third of the race. This final leg is where they all lock in. This is like the speed multiplier at that point. You can see further back goes faster. And if they have enough stamina, they're going to go for it as soon as possible. If they don't have enough stamina, let's say the horse does not have enough HP for this, right? She doesn't have enough HP for this. So we don't have enough HP for this. What is she gonna do? She's gonna decide, okay, I will wait until here. Now I have enough stamina, right? So she thinks maybe like here, she can lock in. And then she loses all of this because she doesn't have enough HP. So stamina is very,
So you
very
still want stamina for late surgers as well.
stamina. Well, I mean, yes, but you want this for everybody. Everybody needs this because imagine delaying your top speed. Like, what's the point of all that speed if you're not going to use it until halfway through the end of the race, right? So you want to make sure you have enough HP for it. But basically, late surgers need a lot of acceleration because they're trying to cross this really fast, and in order to do that, they have to accelerate quicker than everybody else who is already started earlier than them, right? So if you got here 1 second earlier, you need to accelerate 1 second quicker. This way, they both kind of end around the same time.
If the stamina's kind of working in like career mode or something, is that good for everything else, like for the PvP and stuff?
So actually, in career, you have 400 to all your stats. So
This is super.
career mode gives you plus 400 to all your stats to make things more consistent, and that means when you exit career, you may not have enough stamina to run all the distances you think you can. So you have to be very careful, especially with stamina, because you may not have enough.
What? Is it 400 to everybody, even the CPUs, or am I like losing to the CPUs
Yes.
with a 400?
Yes, it is to everybody. Everybody in the career mode has an invisible
okay.
400 inflation. This makes it easier to win, and it leads to a lot of leniency with stamina, and it also makes the races more engaging because, let's say that you're looking at this and nobody starts running until all the way over here because they only have 100 stamina. That's going to be a little bit different from everybody starting like over here instead. So this 400 base stat increase to career mode is very, very important when you're considering how your horse will do outside. And that's why you may struggle with daily races, because you're like, dude, my horse won the medium URA finale. Why can't I win the support card points? Oh no.
Exactly.
You don't have enough stamina.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now the last one. Okay, so the weakness of the late surgers is essentially just if a front runner is too far ahead, the late surger will lock in too late, and then by the time they actually hit their top speed, right, and then they start going way faster, the front runner has already passed the goal. So it's like, okay, buddy, that's a little late. That's the weakness of a late surger. And for end closers, you may think, okay, end closer is end closer. They're supposed to close. They should be better than late surgers. In actuality, it's kind of surprising because what end closers do is they actually lock in very early into the race. They will start moving fast way earlier than everyone else. So for Gold Ship, for example, and she's the only real end closer in the game currently, but you may notice that they always come up around the outside. This is because they're more willing to take the stamina penalty, and they're going to be running faster than other horses for more of the race in order to catch up. So they take it really easy here, like in the early portion, and then they will start to go faster much earlier. So for example, if a late surger starts popping off here, and a pace chaser wants to make her move over here, end closers make their move like around here, for example. So they move significantly further back compared to the other horses, and that's why they move much faster for much longer. Now, it's not this severe. This is just like an example. If you look here, you can see that in the middle leg here, the end closer, it has a little bit higher just because they're supposed to start like speeding up and taking it more seriously a little bit earlier. I know this is a really small number, but it's kind of like a nod to the idea. And then, of course, they start running
because I always thought it was lower. Like it would be because it's ordered front runner, pace chaser, late surger, and then you think end closers.
But another way you could interpret the little clip they play is that the end closer starts running so much quicker in order to catch up with the late surger, who catches up with the pace chaser, who catches up with the front runner. And it just means that end closers are going to be running for longer than everybody else. And they don't need power as much because they make their move so much sooner. They have a much bigger window to accelerate than the other strategies. Whereas late surger has a small window. That's why they want power more. End closers still need power, of course. It's not as bad as a late surger, is the way I would put it. Now, moving on to the next section.
So I'm still not over the 400 buff to everybody.
It's kind of important. It's pretty important for your training. Maybe I should have put that in the very beginning. But so Kitasan Black and support cards. I think it's very important to talk about Kitasan Black because there's a lot of complications with the character in that people are gassing her up and everybody knows she's really good, but a lot of people don't know why, right? They see her as Gojo, but they don't know why. They're just like, okay, well, her stuff is really good. She makes my numbers really big, but why, right? So I'm going to explain why using Kitasan Black. So at a max limit break, which is the state you will see her in 99% of the time, she is the best card in the game, right? She's broken. If you don't have it, you only have 3 limit breaks, 3 LB, instead of max limit breaks, max LB, MLB. She's good, but there's a big penalty. So if we look here at the specialty priority, this was a little bit old. Game Tour will now say 60 and 100 for simplicity. Let's see, here's an explanation. It's a little complicated. Basically, you can read this as 60 and 100. So there's a giant difference in specialty priority here, right? And this is a big reason that Kitasan Black at MLB is way better than at 3LB, and 3LB is way better than 2LB. Because if you're at 2LB, 1LB, or you only have 1 copy, you only have 20 specialty priority, and that is really, really, really big of a damper on the card. So she's not actually that much special. But specialty priority is the main reason that Kitasan Black is kind of high weighted, like top end. And if you don't have a really big Kita, it's kind of not a big deal whether you have her or not. You're probably not going to use her. You're just going to borrow the max. So there's no point in borrowing a 2LB Kitasan Black because you could probably borrow something more helpful at that point.
Should I still pull on her banner though? And like why?
Actually, yes. So even if you're not going to get Kitasan Black, the pool, every time a card is released, it gets added to the pool. For every card that gets added, that means it's going to keep getting bigger. And there's a lot of good cards in there right now, even like including Kitasan Black, who will be available in the future as well. Even after her banner goes away, you can still get her. But you will get a lot of SRs, and ML being SRs is really good because they easily compete with SSRs. Like we'll talk about a couple in a moment that are, in some cases, better than their SSR options. Sometimes even at the same amount of limit breaks, even though they're a full rarity down. So it's completely worth it and good to pull on the banner because it will make your account stronger. If there's a horse you want to save for, go nuts. Nobody's going to stop you. And you're not going to miss out on Kita permanently. You can always just borrow one. But I would strongly recommend to make your account better that you pull regardless because you'll improve your account, you'll get a bunch of cards that you want, and maybe you'll get some Kitasan Blacks. So this character is not the end all be all. You'll probably always borrow a Kitasan Black if you don't have one at 4LB, but let's say you have one at 2LB, you're going to be sad. I'm going to be honest, because you're going to have this 3 SSR stacked up, and you're not going to use her because you're just going to borrow the 4LB because she's so much better with this gigantic specialty priority diff. So what does it all mean? Let's talk about the stats. Let's explain what the stats mean. So I have here, in short, kind of outlined which stats are most important. We have friendship bonus, which is the rainbow training multiplier. This is multiplicative with all of the other things. So if you have 2 rainbows, as you see here, Kitasan Black has 20 here. If you had, say, 2 Kitasan Blacks on the same training, it would be 20% and then 20% again for a total of 44%. So their being multiplicative is a lot more significant. It's not 20 plus 20, it's 20 or 1.2 times 1.2. So this is actually a really important number. This is what causes those gigantic 100 stat trainings is multiple rainbows. You want multi-rainbows more than single rainbows. Single rainbows are not that big of a deal. So it's a very important stat. Mood effect and training effect are kind of intertwined. So I'll explain mood effect in a second, but training effect is essentially just an additive multiplier. So if you have, like Kitasan Black here, 15 training effectiveness, and you have another card that has 5 training effectiveness, they add together, bam, 20%. So now you get 20% more stats from that training. And these stats, it's important to know, these stats only apply if they are on the training. So this training effectiveness does not do anything if Kita is not on the training that you're doing. So if she's on stamina and you're doing speed, you don't get this.
But do all of them proc except the rainbow bonus when they're just sitting there?
Yes, all of them will proc as long as they're there. And Rainbow, of course, Rainbow can only be done on their signature stat, but training effectiveness is really nice because you can still have her amplify your power or speed or wit training with that 15%, even though it's not her specialty. So the next thing is initial stats. This is probably the worst one. It just gives you stats at the beginning of career. Completely useless because the thing with blue sparks is, yeah, it's the same as blue sparks, but the thing is those blue sparks will trigger 3 times because they also trigger at inspiration events. So you'll end up getting from a 9-star, you'll get like 150 stats over the course of a career. And this initial stats, you'll get like 40, maybe 20. And you could have gotten more if they had better training stats. So completely useless. Initial friendship may sound like a small beans, but it's actually really important. Every time you train with a friend, that's 7 friendship. You need to get to 80. So Kitasan Black here has 35 initial friendship bonus. That is 5 free trainings out of the way. You only gotta do like 7, and then she's done.
And this applies to a lot of cards as well. By having this initial friendship training, you don't need to you can click on them less, and you could get to your friendship earlier.
Yeah, you can hit those rainbow combos way quicker just through this. So a card that has like 10, like the welfare special week, she may have good stats, but having a low friendship gauge, you can really, really feel it because now you have to like 10 to 35. You gotta click her like 4 extra times. That's brutal. All right. Next is race bonus. Race bonus, in short, it just increases the rewards that you get for winning a race or doing races, whatever. How does it matter? It's only relevant for essentially one thing. If you hit 35% race bonus or 34%, you will get 4 stats instead of 3 for winning a race. That's kind of it. Other than that,
so
race
low.
bonus is kind of irrelevant. Well, it is low, but when it's triggering like 10 times, you're getting 5 stat points from this per race you win. And if you're hitting the estimated like 8 or 9 goal races, and you're also hitting multiple other G1s just for fun, you're gonna end up getting like 100 stats or more just
for the
from
love of the game.
Yep. But it's added between everybody. So it's something to smile about if you hit 35% and you get that 4 per race. It feels really good. This also affects your skill points from races, which is also nice regardless of if you hit that 34%. Here, I'm just using the Game Tour compare tool because it lets me compare things. Like over here, you see there's a whole bunch of different ones. And it makes it really easy to kind of tell them apart. Hint levels, when you do those red exclamation point skill events, you get 1 hint level. This will increase it. So if you have 1 hint level here, like Sweep Tosho here has 1, this means when she gives you a hint, it will be level 2. Hint frequency is the increase in the chance that you get the event. So Kitasan Black here, sorry, I said Sweet Tosho. Kitasan Black has 20%. This is a 20% increase to that 7.5. So she'll have like a close to 10% chance of getting a hint frequency when she shows up. These two depend on if the hints given by the card are good. Most of your cards aren't going to be there for their skills, but it's nice to have cards that have good skills. For the most part, they're kind of irrelevant, generally. The last one is specialty priority. This one is extremely important because this, I also skipped flat bonus, but I'll get to that. Specialty priority is super important because it increases the chance that they show up on their specific stats. So it's 18% that they show up on any given stat. I think it's 10% that they don't show up at all. And then the 90% is split between the 5 stats. Specialty priority takes from the other ones to increase the chance. So Kitasan Black here with 100 specialty priority, she has a 36% chance of showing up on speed, which means 36% chance of giving you that rainbow bonus. And it makes it way easier to get multiple rainbows because she's always going to be on her rainbow stat. And you're going to be running 3 or 4 speeds. You're going to be guaranteed to run 3 speeds. You always want to run 3 speeds in every deck you ever make. But you also kind of want to run 4 too. And having 4 a lot of the time means that this specialty priority is, you're going to see the difference between cards that do have it and don't. In fact, I would go so far as to say cards that don't have any kind of get destroyed just a little bit. And yeah, the last thing is that when a training partner is present in a training, they give a 5% bonus. So if you do like a penta training, there's five buddies there, you also get 25%. But NPCs don't count and PAL cards don't count, like Tazuna doesn't count, the director doesn't count. But other than that, it's just like if you have Kita here, that's an additional 5%. If you have, Sakura Bakushin, that's an additional 5%. And the one that I forgot is flat stat bonus. So here, Kitasan Black has a power bonus. This just gives +1 before multipliers to the stats. So speed training, for example, if we look here at the calculated training game, level 1 speed gives 10 speed and 5 power. Kitasan Black has 1 power bonus. So that increases your power by 20% when she's present here in the speed training. And it's better to have it on power or stamina for power training, because if it was on the main stat, like let's say she gave speed bonus, that would be a 10% increase. But as a power bonus, that's a 20% increase. So it's more valuable because there's less, right? So her being power bonus is really, really strong. And that is very good. That's what you're looking out for. This is a very, very strong stat. Okay. Any questions on support card stats?
Just ask again, I think you said it before, but how much friendship do you get from each interaction?
Each interaction is 7 friendship. If you have the charming effect, it's +2, and if you do a hint event, it's +5.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, and now we can talk about a couple different ones. So here we have Kitasan Black at 0, Kitasan Black at 2, Sakura Bakushin O at 2, and then Aishin Flash and Sweepy at max limit break. If you look at the important stats, the ones that I outlined in green over here, we have the friendship bonus, which is here, 20, 23, 30, 20, 30. You can see that Aishin Flash and Sweepy are kind of on the same page as these guys. So we look at mood effect, right? 20, 26, 36, 65, 40, right? She has a lot of this. Okay, what does this mean? How do we evaluate how good this mood effect is? It's easier to compare it to training effectiveness. So here, Kitasan Black has 10, 13, Aishin Flash has 5, Sweepy has 10. Okay, how do we evaluate this? Mood effect and training effectiveness. I think training effectiveness is easy to understand. This 10 means 10% more stats, right?
Yeah.
But what does this 20 mood mean? What does this 20% mood mean? Okay, so when you have the moods, essentially, if you have normal mood, you have a 100% multiplier, which is nothing. If you have a good mood, that's +10%. And if you have a great mood, that's +20%. So of course, when you're doing those rainbows, you always want to have great. When you do those trainings, 6 mood is equivalent to 1 training effect. So here, Aishin Flash has 65 mood effect. Translating this into training effectiveness is it's about 11% training effectiveness if you have great. If you don't have great, it'll be worth a lot less, right? So mood effect, you can kind of translate it as 6-1 for great and 11-1 for good. And if you have a bad mood or an awful mood, it will be proportionately negative. So mood effect can actually make your trainings worse if you have bad temperament, but you should never train with bad temperament unless it's for friendship.
I'm just not understanding.
So your mood will apply a multiplier. I have this whole thing here. This whole thing that I grayed out is just a calculator where I was learning how it worked. Essentially, if you have a good mood, it'll give you 10%, a 10% bonus here, right? That get added. This is now the mood multiplier with this mood bonus. So if there's 0 mood bonus, you see here, a good mood gives 10% to the final training. If you have a great mood, that's 20%. right? And if I add 60 mood bonus, this will multiply this 20%. So the mood bonus only affects this 20% here. And that's why it goes 6 to 1 or 11 to 1. You see, like, this is like double because this is half. But yeah, so this is kind of how you can understand mood effect. Is it is 6 to 1 for great, 11 to 1 for good. And that helps you kind of understand what you're looking at here when you look at the mood effect. It's easiest to compare it to training effect because it's so easy to understand training effect.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, just a multiplier on that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's useless if you don't have a good mood, and it's generally just like a more gimmicky version of training effectiveness. So you would prefer training effectiveness, but training effectiveness is like a hard to get stat, as you can see by how small these numbers are. So yeah. Meanwhile, mood effect is on pretty much every support card almost. So moving down the line to the important stats, speed bonus and power bonus, these are the flat amplifications. You see Bakushin has 1 speed bonus, Aishin Flash has 1 speed bonus. These, again, very powerful. They apply before all multipliers. Training effectiveness, we understand, is just a % increase. Initial speed is a waste of a slot. Initial friendship gauge, that's really nice because now, look, if you compare 2 Kita, 2LB Kita versus 2LB Bakushin, this is 1 training that you got spared because it's already +7, right? Compared to Aishin Flash, I mean, it's even more, it's 2, right? So that's an advantage that she has. There's some race bonus, doesn't matter, as long as all 6 of yours adds up to 34, you don't care. Fan bonus is irrelevant. Hint frequency is only important if the hints are good, so it kind of varies. Specialty priority, as you see here, very important. Like I said, 2LB Kitasan Black, not very much of the specialty priority, which kind of hurts a lot. See, Bakushin has 45, Aishin Flash has 35, Sweepy has 50. This is kind of a big deal because it means that Sweepy has like a really high chance of showing up compared to Kitasan Black, right? This is like an addition of, what is it? I put it over here somewhere. Here we go. So here the kind of an estimation for how you're going to show up. The base chance is 18. If you have 20, that's plus 3%. If you have 60, that's, 30%. If you have 100, that's 36. You can, if you want to do the math yourself, 1% appearance chance per 5.6 specialty priority. So, 56 specialty priority would bring it up to 28%, as you see here.
Okay.
This,
and then running them together is pretty good, right? Because you want the multiplicative.
Yes,
rainbows.
so it's really nice to have a lot of cards with high specialty priority, especially of the same kind, because these are all speeds. Because they all have like high specialty priority, or higher, I should say, it'll be more likely. Because now, instead of trying to hit an 18, all right, you're trying to hit an 18 with an 18 with an 18 to get like your best one. There we go. Yeah. So you see here, there's a 10, it's 3 times. You have a 300% chance of getting a triple rainbow with these cards if you have Bakushin, Sweepy, and Kitasan Black, right? Because of that specialty priority. So it matters a lot to help you get those rainbows.
Honestly, over the course, so like 15% is not low, I guess. That like you're going to see that in a career.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That was not 15%, by the way. That was 0.15.
Oh, wait. 0.15%?
No, 1.5. My bad.
Oh,
1.5%. Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay, never mind. You're not gonna see that. Okay.
So what it did? Well, you have about 70 turns in a career, and that increased the odds from 0.5% to 1.5%. So it literally tripled your odds of getting that specific triple rainbow. So these things really matter. Now, the stats aren't all that there is with support cards. It also depends on what they can provide with their skills or their events. Kitasan Black is notable because she has multiple mood ups, multiple energy ups. Her gold skill can be used on literally everybody, and she can give you practice perfect. This is a lot of upsides to a card that already has incredible stats. Meanwhile, Bakushin, who is a premier SSR, by the way, she's a very good speed SSR. She has kind of bad events, and she can only really offer you her really strong sprint gold skill and a couple sprint skills. But if you don't need those, they're not very impactful, right? So you may not consider Bakushin if you have someone that has more relevant skills. Like, for example, Aishin Flash, multiple mood ups, multiple energy ups, a max speed up. She has multiple late searcher skills, 2 of her 5 skills, which she has a small skill pool, so it's easier to get her good skills. She has 2 really good late searcher skills. She has homestretch haste guaranteed from her chain event, which is also a nice, consistent, guaranteed skill. Can't go wrong with that. So Aishin Flash has a lot of things backing her up outside of her stat line that are really nice to have. Sweep Tosho, she can give you charming, and she can also give you energy 1 time with one of her events. So she just has like okay events. You're mostly taking her for her stats. Like, look at this, 30% here, 50 specialty priority, and she's got 10% training effect. She's got a whole lot to offer here besides
everything.
She got everything. Well, she doesn't have flats, but she's still really
good. Almost everything, but it's still
almost
like
everything.
For an SR card, this is
yep. This
awesome.
this is beyond good. So I actually wanted to briefly touch on Sweep Tosho as a matter of fact, and then I'll get to the power stuff on the right. This is Sweep Tosho and the Tosho Sweep. So here is Sweep Tosho at MLB compared to 4 speed SSRs also at MLB. So they should dwarf her by comparison, right? Because they're significantly more rare. Well, if we look here, friendship bonus, she's par for the course, right? She barely lower than the highs and significantly higher than Twin Turbo here. Mood bonus, we don't really care. They're all kind of even except Twin Turbo. She doesn't have flat bonus, but she's keeping up just fine. And then we get to training effectiveness. Now, Twin Turbo has the same training effectiveness, but Teo, Suzuka, and Spechan don't. So this is significantly more tangible than this mood bonus loss. And it is not quite as reliable as the speed bonus. This is like a big deal. And she's kind of keeping up. She's really strong here. Turbo has this, but she doesn't have a good rainbow. In terms of initial friendship, this is kind of where Special Week is really weak, because she has really bad initial friendship. She's 3 turns behind by default. Devastating. I hate using this card because I have to keep babysitting her so she can catch up.
I have been having a great time with my Sweep Tosho. Like, I have MLB Sweep Tosho, so I'm...
Yes, this card is wonderful. Right? Again, remember, these cards are so much more rare than her. Then the last one is Specialty Priority. Look at the Specialty Priority here. 30 on Special Week. That hurts. 65 on Suzuka. That's really good. 50 on Sweep Tosho. That's really good. 35 on Teo and Turbo. So you can kind of see that she is like good. She's strong. She is cooking here. She's up there with these stats, right? That's not even mentioning the most devastating part is she has good stat lines compared to the other sweep cards. She's holding it up. She also can give you Charming. And if you get Charming in the early stages of the game, that is a game changer.
You just set your run up for life with the early charm. Ridiculous.
So what you're getting is an additional 2 friendship every time you interact, basically. So for just doing this training, you see here 777. Well, instead of 21, now we're getting 9, which is 30% increase. You're getting it 30% quicker. 30% quicker. That means you have that much time can be dedicated to rainbow farming instead of just trying to desperately scratch at and gather together your friendship points. And this is very helpful for somebody like Spechan, who has 10 initial friendship. Very important. This horse.
This Uma, bro.
So we have thoroughly talked about these different stats for support cards, and I feel like you've got a better idea of how these support cards work, right? We know to consider the stats, we know what they mean. We also know how to consider this other stuff, which I will not be bringing up shortly. Now, if we move over here, I have listed all of the power cards currently in the game here. And we can kind of evaluate how good these different cards are. So I'm actually gonna move this into a Word to make it easier to see. Lumina, oopsies, this one, Microsoft Paint. So if we look here and we try and determine how good these cards are, if we look at Measure Orion, for example, we see 20 friendship bonus. We can look at the others and see how good their friendship bonus is, right? We see the mood effect. By the way, if it's orange, that means that's what their ability increases. So her ability increases mood effect and her race bonus. So we see the mood effect, we see the friendship bonus. We know what this means. 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 So looking at this card, what do you think of Measure Ryan? What do you make of Measure Ryan?
Not excellent from this.
Great. So because she has no specialty priority,
Yeah.
we can see my evaluation here. All she has is she has really high hint bonus, 3 hints, and she only has 1 flat stamina, which flat stamina is really good, but gosh, that is not worth it, right? And if we look at the next card in line, what do you see that sticks out in Mihono Bourbon's stats here? What sticks out to you?
Well, 50 specialty priority.
50 specialty priority, that's very important. What else?
43 friendship bonus. That's like almost halfway.
Friendship bonus, holy
That's more than halfway.
This is crazy, yeah.
That's devastating,
This-
right?
This bourbon card is...
This bourbon
Yeah,
card
what
is
the hell?
crazy. What else is important here? What else can you point out to me that she has as an advantage? What is strong?
Let's see.
here? Try not to cheat. I see.
No, I'm not.
Anything else sticking out to you? What about you, Saga? What can you point out that's valuable on this card?
Oh yeah, the power bonus
The
too.
power bonus, very
the power
important.
bonus, let's not look at
Oh,
that.
Never
yeah.
forget the flats. The flats are important. Okay,
The
so
flats are big.
what we can determine from this is, wow, Bourbon is a really strong card. Huge friendship bonus, huge specialty party, consistent big rainbows, right? You kind of really want that. Now, if we look over here, we move over to Biwa Hayahide. What do we think of Biwa Hayahide? What sticks out to you?
60, so even more.
Even
specialty
more
priority.
specialty priority. What else?
Does the hint frequency help with friendship? I know there's no friendship bonus.
Yes,
but-
it does. That is correct. It does help with friendship building. It does increase it a little bit because you're more likely to
the
get
extra
a hint.
5.
So this would get her to about 11 to 12% chance to get a hint. Now, we don't know how good her skills are, but I won't pull those up for you. It's not important right now. All right. So what I got here is 15 training effectiveness. This is huge.
Okay.
If you remember, there was a big commotion over Fine Motion, the card that everyone was telling you to reroll for at the beginning of the game. She also has 15 training effectiveness at MLB. She only has 10 at 0 LB. So
MLB.
this 15 is a really big deal. It means even when this doesn't trigger, she still can give 15% to whatever training you're doing. So training effectiveness is very strong. You see stamina bonus here, very, very nice. As I said before, getting power bonus for a power card is nice, but it won't be as good as the stamina bonus on a power card because, you know, you always need stamina. And if we look here, you see in the power training, 8 and 5, so that would be a 20% increase as opposed to a 12% increase, right? So that's a big difference. A lot of value there. Now, I will quickly skim through the rest of them and I'll point out things that are notable here. As you see, I've already kind of gone over it all. Agni's Digital has no specialty priority, so that's kind of a big deal. She has decent friendship bonus, but without any specialty priority, it kind of hurts, to be honest. She does have training effectiveness, but again, you're still suffering from not having this. She also has no flat bonuses, so again, that hurts your training a lot, enough to like kind of equal out with this training effectiveness. So I think this is like a big weakness. And remember that these flat bonuses will apply, like even if they show up on stamina training, this stamina bonus will still apply, right? So this kind of evens out. So she's just kind of suffering from 0 specialty priority. Hishiyama is remarkably similar. She's almost the same as Bourbon with this giant friendship bonus and the same specialty priority. The only difference is Hishiyama has power. I mean, Hishiyama has stamina and Bourbon has power. So stamina is a little bit better. So I would actually give Hishiyama the star here. The Skibidi Rizzler, Daitaku Helios, you see small rainbow, very high specialty priority. And she has
Oh, wait, what,
power
70?
bonus. Yeah, very high. Right, those are the notable things about her. And then Smart Falcon. So again, now we're moving into the territory of the SSRs. You may think, okay, the SSRs, they should be good. Well, let me move over the bar so it's easier for you to tell who's who. So you see here, very small rainbow, very low specialty priority. We don't like Smart Falcon, unfortunately.
No, that's the one I have.
Smart fuck.
Yep.
I also have
And you
Smart
notice
Fuck
the
in the
orange
board.
here is on her initial power. This is a completely useless stat. That kind of sucks.
Oh.
And she doesn't really have anything else to offer here. It's just she starts off with power bonus. She eventually gets stamina bonus, and yeah, that's what she has.
no.
She gets better, but she kind of sucks.
Yeah, for no.
Wait, she gets
for
better.
no-
What do you mean she gets better?
So you see here,
This-
there's a 0. This means it will increase, as opposed to this nothing, which means it will never increase. So for example, here El Condor Pasa has 0 of here. This means it'll go up with more copies. Like if you get 1 copy, this increases to 1. Yep.
Okay.
So in relation to getting better, El Condor Pasa, good friendship training, 55 specialty priority, gets flat and gets training effectiveness later. Pretty good, right? Then we look over to Vodka, humongous rainbow. Look at that, 40% rainbow.
Look at that.
0 LB, by the way, 0 LB. And 70 specialty priority at 0 LB. 70, by the way, 70 at 0 LB. Very important. This card does not die. She will continue to be one of the best power cards for quite a while. Ogre Cap suffers similarly to Smart Falcon. She has the exact same skill effects. She has bad rainbow, bad specialty priority, and she has initial power. So kind of sad, kind of a sad state.
It's a cute card, but no, it's so
Yeah,
it's like a burger, but with nothing in it.
A burger with nothing in it. So true. So here, I mean, if you want to look, this is. I kind of wrote it all out already. I just think it's fun to like go over those examples now that you kind of know what they all mean.
Okay.
So the next section is on Sparks. Actually, where did I put that? Not here. Not here.
Oh, my head's gonna hurt.
Don't worry about that stuff. That's for later.
And,
Here we go.
Don't worry about it.
Sparks. The start of the run and the end of the run. So sparks come up 2 times. The beginning at inspiration events, which is the same as the beginning, and at the end of the run. So you determine the sparks and you inherit the sparks. So at the start of the run, you are going to get stats based on your blue sparks, and you're also going to get aptitudes based on your pink sparks. Then your direct parents are going to give you their signature skill. So for example, if I move to the overview section, where is that? Here we go. So here, for example, this Maruzensky is a parent to the Taiki Shuttle. She will pass on this Redshift at the start of the run. Ogre Cap will pass on Triumphant Pulse at the start of the run. However, this Teo is a grandparent, so she does not give this Teo step at the start of the run. You have to roll for it at the inspiration events, which are luck-based. Every one of these has a chance to trigger. All the white and green sparks have a chance to trigger at inspiration events, and the blue will always trigger, and the pink might. The pink you also have to gamble for. So repeat triggers will just give you hints for the green skills, but it's just really nice when the parents are 3-star Umas who have their signature outfit, because then instead of this Daiska and this gold chip not giving anything, they could have given their own signature skills, so that Taiki Shuttle could have more chances to have more good skills, basically. In terms of blue sparks, we already kind of talked about it. The amount of stats they give you can see over here, and there's also the aptitude stable again if you need it. So the way that the pink sparks work is pink sparks are completely random. At the end of the run, any of your A rank aptitudes is chosen. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, you'd have a 25% chance between these 4. And it would pick one, and then it would roll 1 to 3 stars, which is 50%, 45, and then 5 for 1, 2, and 3. So you have a 5% chance of getting a 3-star pink spark. And when it comes to these pink sparks, you're looking for distance and then terrain and then strategy. You don't really care about strategy, to be honest. Any questions?
So it's not influenced at all by the parents, the pink sparks?
No, they're completely luck-based when you're... pink sparks are completely luck-based, which kind of sucks. Blue sparks you can influence. Like, as I mentioned, 600 is a 5% chance. So you want to get your stats to 300 if you want to make a good parent. But it's, you have to roll between all 5 stats. So if you were going to get wit, it doesn't matter if you had, 10 bajillion speed. You're getting a wit. And you have 300 wit, so you're getting a 1-star. So the pinks are actually a little bit more deep than that. So the way that it works is, if we look here, let's say we're talking about front running. Okay, so you see here, Taiki Shuttle has a B in front running thanks to this pink spark right here, right? So because there's at least one pink spark with at least 1 star, at the beginning of the run, front runner increases by 1 rank, right? So the way it works is, first level up is 1 star. First level is 1 star. Each extra is 3 stars. So if you have 4 4-star perf, this is plus 2 levels, which is plus 2 levels to turf, caps at A. Right, it caps at A at the start of the run, and then at inspiration events, you're gonna roll to be able to get an additional trigger and therefore be able to get to S. So if you have 4-star, if you have 7, you'll get 3. And then if you have 10, you'll get 4 levels, which is the max. You can't go past 4. So if you have G, for example, like let's say you have Haru Urara, and you want to make her win the Arima Kinnin, she has a G in long and a G in turf. So in order to make her win the race, you have to at minimum reach D, because you may notice here, the acceleration will get to 100% instead of having this devastating unwinnable penalty. You need at least D to like perform. So you have to get her at least 3 levels, which is 7 stars in long and turf. This way she has double D and therefore can potentially win the race.
So it's not even worth trying to run Urara if you're not getting pink sparks?
In the Arima Kinnin, yes, it is completely unwinnable when you have 10% in all your stats.
Yeah, if you're trying to gun for the Arima Kinnin and you don't have none of this, don't even bother, dude.
Yeah, you need at least D. Double D is ideal. If you manage to get to the C, which is impossible, you can only have 1 C. You can have a C and then a D. After this initial start of the run, so again, this 4 level thing, this with the stars, it happens guaranteed at the start of the run. That is why you can see these upgrade here. Like for example, if I had, we have 2 stars here. If one of these had 2 stars in front runner, this front would become an A, because that's 4 stars, that's 1 plus 3, that's 2 levels, so you can go up to A, but it can't go past A. Now, what will happen is at the inspiration events in early April, these pink sparks will be rolled again, based on luck, to potentially increase it again, or maybe increase another pink spark somewhere else to go past A. Any questions?
It's based on the parents still?
Inspiration events, you're rolling to trigger your sparks. So at early April and at the beginning of the game, you're rolling to trigger any of these whites, and also you're guaranteed to have the pinks and the blues trigger, and the parents will always give you their greens. Blue, pink, green, guaranteed. Yeah. So this is how the inspiration events work.
Got it. Okay.
Now, the trigger chance for these is based on how many of the same sparks you have. Now, when it comes to actually getting the sparks onto your horse, every white skill you have in every G1 race has a 20% chance of creating a white spark. If it's a double circle, it's 25. If it's a gold skill, it's a 40%. If other parents have the same spark, so let's say all 6 of these have homestretch haste, right? Let's say all 6 of them have homestretch haste. This means that when Taiki Shuttle does the homestretch haste roll, she'll have a higher chance. It's 1.1 times per, so it's actually 35% instead of just the 20% to get homestretch haste as a white spark. So it kind of helps you perpetuate the same skill a little bit. And the stars are determined 1, 2, 3, 50, 40, 5, and 5. Generally, if you want a bunch of white sparks, just complete as many G1s as you can, or win as many G1s as you can, get as many level 1 skills as you can. I would not recommend getting double circles in general, because they're not that efficient. But yeah, all right. Inspiration events, we kind of talked about this already. For the trigger chances of these white sparks, and presumably pinks as well, it's based on affinity, and you got approximately, not including the affinity, it's about 5% per star, and the grandparents get halved. But if multiple different ones, like if both of you have homestretch haste, you would get 5% per star, you would get 2.5% per star. But it would not, like let's say we have 5% from vodka and we have 5% from Ogre Cap. It is not 100, it is not 10% chance. It's a little bit less than 10%. Basically, if everybody has the same spark, it's easier to pass it on, but not as easy to actually get the skill from it. It's kind of weird. I don't really get it. It's kind of complicated. Now, in terms of your goals for sparks, the best sparks are always going to be exactly what you need at any given time. But you generally, what you should look for is get 9 stars, Me personally, I recommend not getting speed. This is my first 9-star. I got 6 speed, 3 power. On a Teo, I would recommend you want to 9 stars of stamina or power. Speed is okay. So this is what you're looking for. And then to start off with this, I would recommend you do the same thing I did here. 2-star parent, 3-star parent, and then this stuff just helps you. And if she gets 2 stars, this is 2, 2, 3, that's 7. So she becomes a 7 now, and that makes it easier to win races. And I can keep using her with this Ogre cap until eventually I get a 3-star. Now I have a 2, 3, 3. That's an 8-star, and then I do the same thing with my own natural 3-star and this Ogre cap until eventually I get a 9-star. And that is how you get into a position like this. This is a borrowed vodka, and this is my Sakura Bakushin, who has like bad parents. And here is my final Teo that I put on my account, even though she doesn't have that many white sparks.
Okay.
Alrighty, we're all good on sparks.
We're good on sparks.
So like the order of it should be train up a good
Parent.
3-star and a spark you want 2-star. Like a 2-star Uma with a 3-star spark that you want. Like power. Okay.
Yes. Basically. You wanna do your best to build it up. Now in relation to your roles, we have affinity. I mentioned you have to do G1s earlier to increase affinity. So your spark luck, you may notice that when you do a career run, there is that little affinity thing at the very top. It's that little like thingy where it's like a double circle or whatever. If I start a Daisuke run, we have no affinity. If I put like Teo here, for example, this means I have 50 affinity points at least. 51 to 150, that's what it means. 51 to 150. If I use this Ogre cap, it goes to a double circle. That means I have at least 150 affinity points. How do you figure this out? Well, the way affinity is defined is based on the different horses. And the easiest way to do that is you go here to Game Tora, and
Isn't there real life horses? Because I
Yes,
saw
they are based off of real life horses.
They're all
Stay
based
gold.
up.
Okay.
Use the affinity calculator.
Use the affinity calculator. You can see who's besties with who. Like Daiwa Scarlet loves vodka and loves Teo. So you see the recommend here. Oh, we'll use Teo here. And then the grandparents, the short of it is, this is how you do it. But let's say, you don't have the best horses. Like let's say I wanted to do Gold Ship, for example, right? I don't have this character. I don't have that character. I don't have you. 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 I have you. I have you, but they're not that great. I don't have any of them with good sparks, so I have to use my Teo, right? And let's say I have to use, someone who's also far down that I have a good parent of. Let's say I have to use this Ogre Cat because she has a lot of good sparks. And notice this is 30 below the previous combination where I had 88, now I have 58. It's much lower. How can I make this up? How can I get closer to getting a higher affinity? The actual circle isn't important, it's the number behind it. This just kind of tells you what your number probably is. So how can you increase that? Well, the way you increase that is actually, here through your G1s. So take 2 steps from your main character, and they have to have the same G1. So for example, this is a parent, here's 1 step, now vodka. I'm on vodka. Let's say vodka here has won the Oka show, right? Vodka won the Oka show. Bakushin has also won the Oka show. So that's plus 3 points. That's 3 affinity points, just like that. Now, vodka has also won the Mile Championship. Bakushin has won the Mile Championship. That's plus 3 points. The other parent, Suzuka, has also won the Mile Championship. So that is another 3 points. So it's 3 points here, 3 points here. And if King Halo had won it, that'd be another 3 points there. So it's about getting the same G1 wins to kind of increase the built-in affinity. So I would call this vodka having affinity from Bakushin and from Suzuka. I would call this baked-in affinity. So because she has plus 30 affinity, all on her own, not including this other legacy here of King Halo, that is plus 30 baked-in affinity.
Are you ever trying to aim to manipulate that, or
Yes, all the time. That is all I do. All of my races. I hit
single time.
I hit every single one of these. Look, you see all these races. Oof.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me.
Oh, you're
I have-
purposely scheduling yourself for them?
Yeah.
You're not, those aren't.
So
Yes,
here,
this is
here
really
we
big.
have the schedule. I have here a schedule of all the G1s. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit so you
My
can see a little
God.
bit better. The red means this is the only time it appears. The green means it will come back in the 3rd year, and the orange means it will never. It is, it's gonna run out. So here, miles and mediums, as you can see based on the colors, are very prominent. There's 3 sprints and 4 longs only, which is not very many. So it's a lot of mediums, a lot of miles. And when it comes to these, I do have my favorites. The Okasho is really easy. NHK Mile is decent. Asahi High is required for a handful of characters, like Maru Zensky and Vodka. They both have to run one of these. Vodka has to run the Hanshin Junior Phillies, which is fine, whatever. Right, and then we go to the Derby. I think the Derby's kind of hard, but if you do win the Derby, that's 30k fans. That's really nice. Oaks is a part of the Tiara Tour. It's a smaller race. So Okasho, the Oaks, and then the Shukasho is the Tiara. Satsuki, Derby, Kikukasho is the Triple Crown. Doesn't really matter. Basically, the Tiara sucks. That's all. Okay, anyways, moving on to races that matter. So early on, you're kind of not spamming races just yet. The only one that I would say you should always try if possible is November 2, year 2. Japan Cup, and if you can't run mediums, do the Mile Championship. The Japan Cup gives you 30k fans, and it is a very easy race to win compared to the Derby because you've had enough time to stabilize. Your banana farms have all paid off, all of your rainbows have started hitting, and you've gone through a summer, so you've caught up. This Japan Cup will save you a lot of hassle. So I really like to hit like this Japan Cup Mile Championship. Then at the beginning of the year, there's nothing going on. Then I start hitting everything. This Osaka High, I always hit this Osaka High. I hit this, I hit the Yasura Kinen, I hit the Takarazuka Kinen, I hit the Sprinters if I can, I hit the Autumn Tenosho, I hit the Queen Elizabeth Cup. Whichever one of these 2 I didn't do, I do it. You hit all of them.
I hit Japan Cup twice.
I'm still not sure exactly on if, because the way the Affinity works is, does your horse have the same G1 win? Game Toro wasn't exactly clear on the name of the race or the specific time. So let's say, for example, one parent did the first Japan Cup and the second Mile Championship. So she's won the Japan Cup and the Mile Championship, right? Japan Cup 1, Mile Championship 2, right? A different horse has won Mile Championship and then Japan Cup. So they've both won both races. I don't know if this gives the Affinity bonus or not. So to make it consistent, you always want to do this Japan Cup. There's absolutely like no thing. So if you're able to do this, you want to win it really, really bad because it makes your fan requirements really easy. So because I always hit this first, I do this Mile Championship after because not every horse can do mediums. And there are a lot of horses that can do mediums and miles. So by doing this, I get to include more horses in my friendship rotation. I mean, in my G1 races, it's easier.
Yeah, you get to spread out, increase the pool, and
Yes.
and as a result, it'll make your parents a lot better in terms of affinity.
So it increases. Where did my freaking picture go?
It disappeared.
Okay, Koshi, it's gone. My perfect drawing. Oh well. Okay. So, anyways, the affinities. This is very nice because it improves your spark rolls. It is good if you're making a good parent. Would recommend. Like when I do my parents, this is like what I would ideally hit. But like here is my most recent like Marzensky, and then here's one that I did after that. You see, all of these are G1s that I got first place in. This is the Ogre cap that I showed earlier. This is the 9-star Ogre cap. This is all the races that she's won. That's why she's such a fantastic parent. 9-star stamina. Look at all these races. So much affinity built in, right? That's why my Daisuka is hitting the double circles here, is because that Ogre cap has done all of those G1s. And of course, if I want to make sure, what I do is I select her, and then I go into the career info, and then I write it down. Oh, Arima Kinen, Japan Cup, to no show, Victoria Mile. This is kind of sad actually. This Yasura Kinen is kind of sad, but Victoria Mile, Osaka High, blah 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 blah. We win all these races, right? This is kind of what you want when you're making a parent, and of course to get the good spark rolls. So as I'm just rolling for the sparks, I'm trying to get the stats up to 600, 600, 600, and I'm also trying to get as many G1s as I can, whenever I can. Right, so that's how you make a good parent, is by putting those together. I also have this one that has dirt in it. There's not that many dirt races, but yeah, they're also in there. Okay, so I'm assuming we're all good for Sparks and Affinity now.
Yep.
I think so. I don't have it memorized. If you're gonna share the
You don't need to.
spreadsheet later, okay.
After all, that's what the video is for. You're supposed to watch the video. Haha.
It's gonna get baked into you. You don't gotta worry about it.
Yeah, like I just start thinking about it all now. All right, so
Gotcha.
here is just like me initially discovering how the calculator works and a bunch of stuff that I already talked about. Don't rest, blah, blah, blah. Night owl's bad. Specialty priority is good, blah, blah, blah. And then here's the 2 charts. Okay, so I have here a couple charts based on strategy, based on an assumption of guts. So I'll talk about guts in a second, but basically stamina is the most important stat. You cannot live without stamina. Stamina is what you need to live and die by, right? So here's the other charts that you can look at if you care. And this is also in the blue here. This is how useful stamina recovery skills are. How good are the blue skills? When they say slightly recover, what do they mean? The purpose of this chart is I use the calculator, which is over here. It's in a global reference doc. And I just kind of did a bunch of scenarios here for if you have 300 guts, which is kind of like a fair amount, how much stamina do you need on average to finish these races, assuming no rushing and the skills happen? Here is how much stamina the skills are actually worth. So the way that I did this is first you convert the stamina into HP. I should actually just I should show it on here. So what you do is you first convert the stamina into the HP. So you have, let's say you have 600 stamina here, and we're playing a late surger to make it easy. So first we convert this into HP, right? And let's say we're running a mile, which is 1600. This means that this goes to let's see, this is 80% of 600, which is minus 1200, so that's 520. Or am I? Sorry, 520. What am I talking about? Okay, wait, that's not. Hold on. I'm tripping. Hold on.
Take your time.
Here we go. So this is 80% of that because that's how the formula works. And then we add the distance, which is 1600. So here we have 2080 HP. This is how much HP we have for this race. Okay, we're following? Good?
Okay, yeah.
Now, let's say we get a slight stamina recovery skill. So slight is 1.5%. They're not that strong, okay? 1.5%. 1.5%. This is very ugly, but I don't care. So
Let's see.
it's 1.5% of that, which is whatever. If you get a gold one, for example, Swinging Maestro, that is 5.5%, which is a very large amount of that.
Okay.
And this means that these skills will, translate to a specific number. So, what is that? That's like 115, right? So this is like 115 HP. And then what you can do is you reverse the formula. You reverse this formula, and then you can convert it into stamina, approximately. So 115 in relation to this, right? You can kind of find out how much HP that's actually worth, which I think I literally just divide it by, 80%. So what is that? 115, like 140? So this is like 140 HP. 140 stamina.
Yeah.
So that means this gold skill just gave you 140 stamina, just like that, because it triggered. And that's kind of how you could find out how much these are worth. So that's kind of what it is. Let's see. It'd be close to here. Late Surger. Yeah, it was really close. Really close. This race is a little longer, so it's a little bigger, but I think I was pretty close.
Okay. So they're more prevalent in the longer races, like that. It means more for the multiplier.
They give you more value the longer the race is. But technically you have a lower requirement for these shorter races, so you may not need it as much. So these are the stamina requirements that you would be passing for your PvP and your daily races. So if you have this much stamina, not including rushing, not including whatever skills, whatever, you kind of expect, I believe this is with max speed, probably like 800 power, something. You kind of expect to need this much in order to have the maximum value of your last spurt. So if you remember how I talked about the last spurt, it was like, okay, you have to start running as early as possible. Otherwise, she's gonna wait until she gets this far before turning it up, right? So you want her to start locking in as soon as possible because she passes the HP check of having enough. And a problem with this is not all stamina skills will give you stamina when you need it. The best time is going to be in the mid race. So a skill like Race Planner would give you really, really good consistency, and a skill like Shake It Out may not. So if I go here, we can look up Race Planner. Here you go, Race Planner. Decreases fatigue mid-race. It just means restore stamina, or HP. So here you read this. This means you're running a Pace Chaser, because it's a Pace Chaser skill. This is at some point in the mid-race. This is you are in the front half. Yes, front half. And then it will give you 5.5% of your stamina in the mid-race. However, if you have something like Shake It Out, this may not be as good because it activates in the late race after you've triggered 3 or more skills. But the problem is, here's the thing. So let's say that you are right here, right now, and you only have enough HP to start sprinting right here, right? So you're gonna start sprinting right here. Let's say Shake It Out happens and restores some stamina, right? So Shake It Out says now you can start running all the way over here, right? As a result, look at the difference here. That's the distance of Shake It Out. Okay. So your Uma is gonna do the calc in her head, and she's gonna realize, wait a second, I can start running now. But this amount right here is still wasted because she could have started running earlier, right? She just didn't know Shake It Out was going to trigger. So these late race skills are less effective than like more effective skills that are like Race Planner or Swinging Maestro, which is always going to trigger before the late race if it triggers. So it's like a difference of how effective when the skill triggers is.
Oh.
Yeah,
that's so dumb. Okay.
So some skills are really... Oh, that reminds me, right? I did talk about Iron Will. Let's talk about Iron Will really quick for conditions. Recovers health when the way ahead is jammed early race. So early race, at least 5 seconds have passed, so the race has started, and you're blocked in front for at least a second. Restore 5.5% of stamina. There's a couple problems with this. Number one, you probably haven't consumed that much stamina yet, so you're not going to get the full recovery effect. Number two, you have to be blocked by somebody. You know, that also means that you're not likely to have consumed enough stamina because you got blocked already, so you're not running at full speed. This skill just isn't going to do anything. This is a gold skill that amounts to maybe a white skill, right? This is like a complete waste of points. It's not good. This is a terrible skill because of the conditions. If it were mid-race, maybe you could get something going. It just has an annoying condition. Yeah. So it's very important to understand how the skills work. You can use the Game Torah skill list, and it will tell you all about it if you learn how to read this stuff, which I did learn how to read it. And if you don't know what that means, you just click Conditions in Viewer, then it tells you what all this stuff means. It's a very helpful tool, would recommend. Okay, now moving on back to stamina. So here you can see how much stamina you need for the various strategies. Career gives you 400 boost, and that also means it gives you more guts, which... so the way guts works is, I mentioned that HP is your stamina, like your stamina converts into HP. So what is guts? What does guts do? Well, if HP is your health bar that drains over time, right? What guts is defense, but only here in the late race. It reduces the conversion, it reduces the amount of stamina that you consume. So you consume less HP. It's more like defense. And it will reduce the drop of your HP. And you're gonna have a lot of stamina left still, but it just slows down how fast it goes down. So it's kind of like a complicated conversion rate stuff that happens here. The short of it is basically, nobody cares about guts. There is a point where it's good, like because it's a conversion rate based thing, right? There's a certain point where more defense is more helpful than more HP, and there's a certain point where more HP is more effective than just getting more defense. For guts, it starts to fall off at these rates, at these different distances. Before this number, like if you had 200 at sprint, 1 point of guts is worth more than 1 point of stamina, but once you pass this for sprints, then guts is worth less than stamina. So for the most part, guts is kind of irrelevant. It's just stamina light.
Okay. All I know is that the receptionist always tells me I need more guts.
Right. So Tazuna will tell you to get guts. All it means is you didn't have enough stamina. So she says, yo, your guts is low. Where's your freaking stamina, dude? It just means you didn't have enough stamina. That's all it means.
You just didn't have enough stamina. Do not believe her lies.
Do not believe her lies. Okay. So for stamina, we already understand how this works. Stamina skills scale off of HP, which scales off of race distance. Most of your HP comes from the distance, and it's like the actual stat is just additional gas so they can run faster, because remember, faster running equals more HP loss. And yeah, pace chasers get a bit less stamina than everybody else. All right, guts we just talked about. Okay, rushing. What does rushing do? Okay, so what rushing does is at the beginning of the race, you roll a chance to rush. And if you will rush, it will happen in the first half of the race. And what it does is it increases your HP drain by 60% for 12 seconds. But every 3 seconds, you're flipping a coin to make it end early. While they're rushing, not only are they losing extra HP, they're also pretending to be further forward. So a late surger will pretend to be a front runner or a pace chaser. It's kind of luck based.
What?
And a front runner will just start spamming the speed up button because their strategy is the most forward. They'll start spamming the speed up button. It's just something they can do with their AI. A little complicated, doesn't really matter. Short version is it will make them try and pour all of their stamina out as fast as they can while they have this debuff. It is devastating. But, you know, if you have enough stamina, let's say you have more than, let's say we're running in this mile right here as a late surger, or let's say we're playing front runner even, and we're running this mile, and we have 900 stamina, just straight up, that's just our stat, we have 900 stamina. 900 is bigger than 700, we have plenty of stamina, so this rush will not actually affect our stamina, we'll have enough stamina regardless. What this means is it's basically a free speed skill, it will just make us run faster.
That's good.
And that's good. So that's like a nice thing about having extra stamina is even if you do rush, it's less problematic and it will make you go faster earlier. Because as I mentioned way back, the horses are trying to run around what the predetermined, or not even predetermined, what the determined pace is that they're trying to stay approximately around, and this just makes them go closer to the front of that set pace. So it can let them like break the rules a bit and just get free speed. Wit does a couple other things, like it influences your speed at various points with the Uma's decision making of do I speed up a little bit, do I slow down a little bit. It's like a luck roll. The higher your wit is, the better the rolls are. And it also can give you a speed boost on downhills. And yeah, general racing speed is mostly what wit is for. Skill activation, general racing speed. When it comes to wit, you're aiming for minimum 300. You need 300. After 300, it kind of starts slowing down, and at 450, you see here, it goes all the way down to 80%. So that 150 is only worth about 10 to 15% skill activation chance, which is still nice. It still helps you trigger it, but you know, it does fall off quite a bit. Like at max wit, 1200, it's only about a 92% chance to trigger skills, which, you know, 12% with a difference of 800 stat points is definitely not worth it. So it does kind of fall off pretty sharply. That's why I was cooking the 3 speed 3 wit score farmers, because they're being a bad influence on people who don't understand why good players may run wit, and it's just because they have enough stats. So yeah, that's how wit works. Any questions?
Does it impact stamina at all other than the blue skills?
Yes. So when you're running faster, you're consuming more stamina, as you see here, current speed.
Yeah.
Wit makes you run faster, therefore you will consume a little bit more stamina.
Oh, so it's worse for, okay.
Well, I wouldn't say worse. It makes you run faster, so.
Okay, yeah, that's what you want, so.
It increases your speed, so it helps you, it gives you more throughput, which you may want, you may not want. It doesn't really matter. You need to have enough stamina anyways. If you're comparing 1200 stamina to 1200 speed on a medium race,
yeah,
gosh, the stamina will smoke. The stamina will destroy. Like if it's 400, 1200 versus 1200, 400, the stamina will win every single time on a medium race, 10 out of 10 times, because this speed does not, I mean, the speed person does not have enough stamina to finish the race. Up until you have enough stamina, it is by far the stat that will influence how quickly you finish the race. The most important stat. And then when you have enough, it doesn't really do that much when you have more than enough. Okay. Now to briefly touch on power, it is acceleration and horizontal movement, which is basically how quickly they go inside or outside. End closers are happy to kind of go around the outside, but late surgers are often trying to like, either they get boxed or they're just trying to run forwards and they're still like fighting the pack. That's why end closers take more stamina as opposed to power, is just because they're not really fighting the box, because they go to the outside earlier. Now, of course, when you're going around a corner, you're running less distance, which is great. And you may be under the impression that power helps you push people out of the way to get unboxed, but actually all it does is it increases your acceleration speed and it increases your horizontal movement speed. And let's say you're completely boxed on all sides. What'll happen is you can get stuck. Like let's say your Uma is stuck here and you're surrounded by numbnuts on all sides, right? And then there is the turn corner of the race, right? So you're kind of stuck in here and you don't know how to get out. Turn corner of the race. So there's a horse here and there's a horse here. So you can't move up and you can't move to the side. You're kind of blocked in here. What will happen is power is not pushing these horses out of the way. What it will do is you will start to build speed this way. You're accelerating this way. Then when a gap is formed, like this right here, the horse will be able to get out easier, assuming she is moving quickly enough to do that. So you're building up speed this way, and you're building up speed this way, and then you can squeeze out through the gap. It does not actually help you push the horse out of the way.
Oh, okay. I imagined it did. Do those perceptiveness skills help a lot with that, or?
They help them see windows. I don't know if the skills are all that helpful unless you get the debuff. In my research, I found that it was summarized as field of view skills don't really matter unless it gets debuffed, because, you know, they're seeing stuff that doesn't matter, basically. So for the most part, it doesn't seem to be too impactful. Alrighty. Uphills also nerf the acceleration by 33%. It goes from like 6 to 4. And speed gets heavily nerfed by uphills, but what power does is it reduces the amount that it nerfs your speed. And of course, power is very important to late surgers and less important the closer you go to the front, because you have a longer window to speed up before the front runner crosses the race, right? Because late surgers are going to be surging in late. The front runners are already closer to the finish line. Pace chasers are close enough to where they still have plenty of time. So late surgers need to accelerate really fast to make it. And of course, longer races give more time to accelerate, because instead of having to cross, say, 400 meters, the frontmost Umas only have to cross 1,000 meters instead of 400 meters. That gives so much more time to accelerate to max speed and hold that max speed over the course of the race. So longer races require less. So if you're making a long, you don't really need as much power. But if you're making a sprinter, that power better be within 300 of your speed, otherwise you're throwing. Okay. So, any questions on power? So, next we have here skills. I'll talk about the simplest ones first. Green skills. Whatever stat is in the picture, you get 40 of that. If you upgrade it again, it's 60. Plain and simple. Is it good? No. Do you want them? Not really.
For PvP, do you never get to know what type of map? So like...
It is random. It pulls from a random pool. There's a set pool. It's kind of...
And you can't change it after you see it. Like you can't see a spring map and change your spring... Okay, so it's... Yeah.
Only in career. And also, in relation to that, just so you know, the dirt PvP is always a mile. It's always miles. So when you build your Harura or Ogre Cat, make sure you're building for miles, not sprints.
Okay.
And mediums. Okay. The blue skills we already discussed. Most of the gold skills are this right here for none, which is 5.5%. There's a couple over here and there's a couple here. The red skills are debuffs. They reduce the current speed of the Uma. I'm going to have to do some work with the Microsoft Paint here in a second to properly explain the way that speed works in this game. All right, so hint levels scale well, 10% discount per, but hints 4 and 5, which is the max, only do 5% instead of 10%. So honestly, I just kind of buy skills that are at hint level 3 if I was going to buy the skill at all. There is a lot of skills, and I think it's easier to let you figure it out with the Game Tour skill list after I explain how they actually work. Blue skills, I explained. Green skills, I actually did explain. It's very short. Recommend 300 to 450 wit, ideally closer to 400. Red skills are debuffs. They don't hit your team. This is important. Don't get scared of that. And if you're building a debuff horse like Evil Nature, you want as much wit as possible for consistency.
Wait, they don't hit your team. Okay.
Yeah, they don't hit your team. They don't. There's no friendly fire. There's no friendly fire.
Good.
Yeah, I did mention last spurts are calculated dynamically, so blue skills in the late race can kind of be wasted. Orange skills are kind of complicated. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of sections because they do a bunch of stuff. We already talked about FOV. It doesn't really matter. There's horizontal movement, acceleration, and there's target speed. So the key ones here that we'll talk about is target speed and acceleration. These are the complicated ones. So it's actually surprisingly simple, even though there's a whole bunch of scary stuff on the screen right now. And this stuff you don't need to worry about unless you care. Scary. You don't have to care about that. Here's how the speed works. All you gotta know is basically middle race, the horses are running off of an idea of 20 meters per second. And in the last late spurt of the race, when they're all sprinting super fast, the idea is around 25 meters per second to give you an idea of how fast the horses are running. Okay. So what does it all mean? So what velocity does is velocity increases your target speed. So let's say we have here the race. Let me make a line here, nice and easy. Bing, bing. Okay. So this right here is the late race there at the end. So the expected speed, let's say our horse is running this fast. Here's how fast they're running in the mid race. And here's how fast they could run, assuming they have max stamina. This is assuming you have enough HP to sprint the whole way, right? How do we function with this conjunction? Okay, so let me fix this color. The horse is gonna speed up, hit the target speed. This right here is the target speed, right? This is what they're aiming at. This is the current speed, right? This is the current speed. This is where they are, and they're accelerating, right? So now that the horse has reached the target speed, we're not accelerating anymore, we're just hanging out, right? If you get an acceleration skill here, right here, let's say you get an acceleration skill for this duration, it literally does nothing because you're not accelerating, see?
Right.
But if you accelerate here, instead you will go up quicker, and then you will hang out at the same target speed. So it doesn't affect your target speed at all. Very important to understand the distinction between acceleration and target speed. So now the new opens so we can speed up, and then we hang out at the target speed here. Draw a straight line challenge, impossible. Okay. And then here's the last spurt where things usually pop off. Assuming we have enough stamina, we'll do it like that. Okay, so how does this interact with target speed? Well, target speed is velocity in the game. So you may have seen velocity increases. What they do is they increase the target speed. So let's say we get a target speed increase right here. This right here is a target speed increase, right?
Yeah.
It does not do anything because we are still accelerating. We're still accelerating. We can't use this area yet. It just increases the maximum speed for a little bit, which doesn't matter if we're not there yet, right? So if we instead do it like here, what'll happen is we will continue to hit the maximum ceiling, hang out at the ceiling. Then when the debuff is down, once again, the horse is trying to approach the target speed. So we'll start decelerating to reach it. So this is kind of what it looks like when you have a velocity increase. This is velocity. Got it?
Okay. Is there a way to target it for those good periods?
All you can do is get skills that are more likely to trigger. For example, let's say home stretch haste. Home stretch haste can only trigger in this half, so it can only really trigger in this portion right here, which means, you may have guessed it, yep, we're getting full value, unless it ends short, because the race is finished right here. But, you know, we're getting the full value, basically.
Does it also depend on the track, I guess? Because some of them increase velocity or acceleration.
On corners, yes.
Straights.
So the corners can be on different places, the straights can be in different places. Some skills can only trigger on the final corner. The final corner could happen really early, like if the race is like this, for example. If the race is shaped like this, and this is a corner, this is a corner, this is the final corner. And this is like literally half of the track, for example. So that may be something that happens. So the tracks and courses are all like different and weird, but generally, like you know, you're looking for skills that will trigger at good points. So for example, this would not do anything. This might not accomplish anything, even though you're running faster for a bit. For example, if you do this and you go from second place to second place, all you did was waste stamina. Because you ran faster, you did all that extra work, and you didn't get anything out of it. And there's still so much race left to go. Now, there is another place where it can go, where instead of just like you open up the new ceiling and then you reach it, you get a little speed boost, and then you go back down. What can happen is you can trigger over here, right? You can trigger it halfway during the phase, right?
Right.
So this may seem useless at first, but what actually happens is you start accelerating early, and then the new phase happens. So you have already, even though you have these two have the exact same acceleration, notice how we hit the target speed a little bit quicker. So this is an advantage of a little bit of carryover here. And like it can happen like all the way over here even. Like if you do it like this, you go speed up a little bit, we hang out, da-da-dun, and look, we reach the top speed earlier. This is important because it means we're running at full speed this much longer, which can definitely end a race. So this is key for understanding like the good points where you want the skills to activate. Like for example, if Daiwa Scarlet activates her red ace a little bit before, she may carry that speed boost into the phase transition, and now she has a head start on her acceleration path, whereas a different Uma had to wait a little bit longer to get the top speed. And now another speed boost over here, right? And Daiwa Scarlet can da-dun. And yeah, so this is very important to understand with those important skills, and you can kind of judge how effective they are again with the skill list. The last thing is how strong are these skills. Now, when you read the skill list, you may normally assume that let's see, home stretches. So we see this, and it goes 1.8 seconds. Yes, I know it's short, but this is actually kind of medium. White skills can range from anywhere from 0.9 to 3 seconds. The more restrictions on the skill, the better. So homestretch haste is only in the last 1/6 of the race, which means that it has one restriction, so it is a little bit longer. If we look at straightaway, for example, there's a lot of straightaway skills. We look here at straightaway adept, which is completely unconditional. It has a 0.9 second duration, right? And it has the same speed boost of 0.15. This is meters per second, by the way. This is not percent, this is meters per second.
Oh.
Yep. So we have straightaway adept with no conditions, and it increases it by 0.9 for 0.15 seconds, right? But
yeah.
Let's say we have mile straightaways instead. The same level, level 1, 3 seconds. That is significantly longer. That is 66% longer. That is significantly more powerful. That means these skills that are like mile straightaway, medium straightaway, long straightaway, front runner straightaways, they're all really, really good because they're so long and so powerful. And another thing about the duration, you may think, okay, 3 seconds is not very long. The way the duration actually works is it is put over the length of the race. So if the race is 2400, that means it is 2.4 times skill duration, right? And if it's 1200, this is 1.2 times duration. This is very important to understand as well.
I did not know this.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Wow.
So when you see Gold Chip's warning shot with its 6-second duration and you're running, you know, a 2400, you're actually looking at a 14-second long skill. Which is pretty interesting.
That's like the rest of the race.
Pretty much. That's why it triggers so early. Okay. Yeah, so when it comes to evaluating skills, you're really looking for things that have these impressive numbers, right? So like you're looking at this mile straightaway, wowee, right? Whereas if you look to, let's say, let's just take a gander actually. This should be velocity skills, yep. So here, this is any corner, 1.8 seconds. Huge lead, one of the worst skills in the game. You have to be 5 lengths ahead of second place. That's not doable, unless you're already gonna win. Let's see. Up tempo, it will, if you are playing a medium in the mid race and you are in the front half, it will give you 0.9 seconds of the speed boost. Whereas if you instead had medium straightaways, if it triggered, it would give you like triple the duration, right? So that's why it's important to understand how good these skills are.
Okay.
And some skills are also like really, really strong for their signatures. Like for example, we have, let's see, Triumphant Pulse. This is Ogre Cap signature skill. It will trigger at 200 meters. She has to be outside of top 1. So just don't be in the front. You have to be between 2 and 5. And if you're in the front half between 2 and 5 at 200 meters, she gets 4.5 meters of speed for 5 seconds, which is the entire rest of the race because we're 200 meters away. That is very powerful, and it is easy to trigger, which is really, really nice. And of course, when you inherit these skills, they do get a bit weaker. You see here, it's only 0.2. It becomes a white skill, but it's still strong. 3 seconds, right? This much. It's easy to trigger, right? So, yeah. Any questions on skills or about specific skills?
A trigger chance specifically for each skill? You said they scale with wit, but...
So what will happen is all of your skills will get rolled according to the wit chance. Is this skill going to trigger? Yes or no? Is this skill going to trigger? Yes or no? Then that skill will trigger within the margins where it is allowed to. So for example, Ogre Caps, if this skill were to get a yes, it would trigger as long as these conditions are met. If it gets a no, even if they're met, it wouldn't trigger.
Does it have a higher chance of triggering than like some random stamina skill, or?
No, they all roll the same wit for does this skill trigger or not. I think uniques are guaranteed to trigger. I could be wrong though, as long as their conditions are met. I could be wrong though. That I completely made that up, by the way. But I mean, have you ever? Okay, look, my first tail run, she used her sig 2 times. So, you know, who knows, right? Sky high tail step. Freaking kill yourself. Okay. Anything else? Any questions regarding skills?
No.
All right. That is everything, I think. Yep. I showed you the race schedule. I talked about all the stuff. Do you have any thoughts?
It's complicated and I have to look things up.
Some things you do, you know,
Like-
it does help to look up. All right. Well, thanks for attending my lecture. Thank you for showing
Thank you
up.
for giving it. Yeah. No, I didn't know like half this stuff. This is all like,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
It's,
Saga saying thank you
Okay.
as if he wasn't here just to check my work. That's crazy. All right. Well, it was great. I feel proud that I've put this together and that it felt useful to you. And yeah, hopefully other people are satisfied with this extremely scuffed, quote unquote, low effort. This thing has been killing me for weeks. I've been sitting here thinking, how do I express all of this information? Do you know how many videos I have watched? And the thing is, people are making videos on this stuff. They will put entire sections of this into like a 20-minute video, and then there's like 15 of them in this one presentation. I want to cut this down and you know, because there's only so much that you can be told. There's only so much you need to be told to understand it. So I'm hoping that this is like concise. It may be foolish, YouTube-wise, to not farm content
I'm
out
wondering,
of any
yeah,
of this
because
stuff.
people, I know some people put out for like other games and stuff. They'll put out one video every day, and then people watch on like their commute or their lunch break or something.
Exactly, right. It's
Yeah.
about getting the stuff. I'm not here for that. I want to talk about what I'm passionate about. And unfortunately, right now, it happens to this game. So I did all this stuff. Don't forget to play bakushin when you have the game open. It will increase your gacha luck. Trust me. That's how I got 0 Kitasan blocked in 350 pulls.
So I
Alright.
should not play.
Oh my, 0?
0 Kitasan blocks in 300 pulls. Oh boy.
That can't be normal. Okay, well,
Oh, by the way, mid-session, I just got a really awesome Agnes Tachyon with a 3 power spark.